I'm going to introduce you. You introduce Oh, okay. She could just come on in when she wants to, after it starts.
Yeah.
Okay.
We knew about the traffic, so.
Check. 1, 2. Never got sound check on YouTube. Oh, wait, there it goes. It just came through.
Sound okay?
Yeah, of course, it was my voice, so it was booming.
All right, so we have.
Oh, thank you so much.
Okay. Hey, Stephen, Ms. Clark asked you, and the reason I think we're not using the video is it kind of used to add us to the call and we moved away from that.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
That would be another good reason.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
I'm all right. Sorry.
Okay, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I didn't.
Your eyes.
In here, like. Oh, I'm sure.
Good, just so we can see it. Yeah, well, and if you want, you can send us here if you want.
Thanks for bringing your son here. Yeah, the suit. That's today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, this is what. Yeah.
You know, like there's something where they rather.
I had enough of these to give to everybody with the Kara's article in it.
Oh, good, okay.
So, and then
How are you first? I'm first. So they can do their stuff.
There's one open table right there that no one sees what's in it.
But I can keep it tight, like. I'm gonna start driving around Carter County way.
Yeah, you're not the only one. So.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, everybody's backed up. Jennifer Wagner. Okay.
First, I have to figure out
Yeah.
why
well, and it's good. I just-
Dr. Miller, I'm gonna come through here.
I'm saying sabotage. And I talked to Michelle as well. She said she had talked with you.
I was panicking this morning.
Oh, we had a good session.
Oddly enough, Hilton Hills is leaving. That's only at 5:30.
Yeah, last night when I was sick, I was emailing me and Tasha. I don't. Yes. You need help? And Madam Chair, I will make note that there's some backed up traffic in James City, so we may have folks coming in later. Ms. Frances Boomer. Here. Ms. Naomi Clark.
Present.
Mr. Victor Dove. Mr. Carl Ipock.
Present.
Ms. Kelly Muse. Ms. Kimberly Smith.
Here.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum, and I'll keep this open as members arrive.
Okay, thank you so much. At this time, I would like to know from the board if there are any amendments to the board's agenda. If there are none, I will ask for a motion to adopt the April 12th, 2022, excuse me, Board of Education meeting agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and second that the April 12th, 2022 Board of Education work session meeting agenda be adopted. Are you ready for the question? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same, ayes have it. The agenda is approved. We would like to share with you at this time our vision and mission statements. We envision a public education system that challenges all students as learners and prepares them to imagine and create a successful life, values educators, and empowers them to inspire and spark innovation in every student, leads in education and community engagement, and invites all students, their families, and all members of the community to work together to support public education to the benefits of our students, our community, our nation, and our world. And I don't usually expound, but the key thing to me is working together. When we work together, things can be accomplished. But when we don't work together, it becomes chaos and confusion. So I like that we do work together. Our school's mission, together with our families and community, Craven County Schools will educate all learners to personal, professional, and civic success through challenging and personalized instruction. Everybody happy this morning?
Delighted.
And at this time, I would ask our chairman, not our chairman, our attorney, Brian Goucher, to lead us with our invocation, please.
We do the meeting stuff.
Board members, if you'll please pray with me. On this morning, Lord, hear our voices as we lift up our prayers to you from the depths of our hearts. We lay our requests before you, appeals that are both simple and serious, of both concern and calamity, known and unknown to the people around us. And we wait expectantly for your response, not knowing how or when that will come, but in faith, we anticipate your answer. And with faith, we pray we are ready to receive it. As you have listened to us, make us attentive to your wisdom. With ears to hear, may we take note of your whispers and open ourselves to hear your divine voice breaking into our lives. We incline our hearts to you this day, that you would grant us understanding in all that confounds us. Help us to receive your guidance as you lead us in the way we should go. And may we thrive on the depth of your compassion in all that we do and say. In the strength of your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. At this time, I'd like everybody to please stand. I'm going to ask our Vice Chairman, Ms. Naomi Clark, to lead us with our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
I'm going to ask our vice chair to, at this time, to share our startups, not the startup, but the safety procedures.
Thank you. Should I do the meeting ground rules as well, Madam Chair? Yeah. You post and approve the agenda. You listen as an ally, and that's very important. One person speaks at a time. Most important to me is that we respect one another. No sidebars. Everyone participates. Stay on task. Start and stop on time. Schedule appropriate breaks. Evaluate at end of each meeting. And at this time, I'm going to request that anyone who has a cell phone, please ensure that it's either on silent or vibrant. Fire evacuation. In the event of a fire emergency, we will split the room in half. The right side of the room will exit out of the door to my left. Side of the room will exit out of the doors to my right. Those moving to my right will go out into the parking lot towards the bagel shop. Those moving out to my left will go out into the parking lot towards Babcock Furniture and get as far away from the building until the fire department comes and clears the building. With regard to a tornado, in the event of a tornado, all of us move out of the same doors we moved out of for the fire drill. However, we will go into the hallway behind us. We will crouch on the ground against the wall and cover our heads until the storm passes or the building is cleared. And lastly, with regard to an intruder, we have changed our process for an intruder to more reflect what we would encounter in a real emergency. First, if we have warning, we will alert each other, which means we will make it known by yelling or telling the building that there is an intruder. We will lock down if the intruder is not in the room. This means we will do all we can to lock doors and secure ourselves in this room and get out of sight of windows. We will use all communication devices to inform others of what is going on, and anyone who is able will contact 911. We will counter if someone comes into this room. We'll use all of the objects available to us to try to distract anyone who would come in here to do harm, and those who can will evacuate to get to safety as quickly as possible. Madam Chair, that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, appreciate that. And at this time, we take the privilege of recognizing our parent representative today, Mrs. Littleton Hinckley. And she is a parent of a student at New Bern High School. And also our student representative today, we have, I see that Liza is not here. Liza Reno and Will Bremer from New Bern High School as student representative for our work session. Welcome. We appreciate you all being here today. And we hope you learn a lot. Mike can help us too as well. Thank you. I'd like to recognize our principal of the year, who is always with us and doing a fantastic job, Ms. Freeble, in her usual seat. And I see Miss, our teacher of the year has not got here yet. She usually comes. I'm sure that she missed Arnell Morris, and so she's coming. So we appreciate you all being here this morning. All right, let's get down to business. Superintendent report? Yeah. Superintendent report.
You can see we got excited people to share.
Yes.
I'd like to kick the day off with a few celebrations that will lead into our first couple of presentations, but also just to share some great things happening in Craven County Schools. First, we have a teacher, Nardi Rutan, a math teacher at Creekside, who is a finalist for the North Carolina Presidential Award for Excellence in Science and Math Teaching. She's a math teacher at Creekside. Only 2 teachers in the whole Southeast region were recognized, and she was one, so that's great news. Grover C. Fields Odyssey of the Mind State Championship. They are the winners and will be representing us in the world competition in Iowa in May. Congratulations. One of the things that we don't talk a lot about that happens a lot in Craven County Schools is teaching our students more than just the core curriculum, but to be good citizens. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to witness the New Bern High School football team giving back to their community by putting out thousands of eggs for 6 different elementary schools so they could have an egg hunt. They had on their jerseys and they were modeling many of our core values. And I had students that were talking to me and kind of looked up to the football players as stars in their eyes. So it was a great thing to see our young people giving back to folks in their community. And finally, you'll hear more about this, but many of you got to participate last week in Farm to School Week, where our school nutrition team served food all weeks from things grown and produced in North Carolina. Who knew there was a rice farm in Pamlico County, right? I didn't until last week. So lots of great things happening in Craven County schools. As you're aware, a school system is only as strong as the support in the community, whether it be financial support from the county commissioners or community support. And we're going to talk about two of those to kick off our day. One of the strong partners we have, and it's a mutual giving relationship, is our military community. They bring so much to our school system. So we're going to hear from first Valerie Nasser, and then we will follow up with another presentation. I will introduce the second presentation of that time. Valerie Nasser, our military liaison.
Good morning, everyone.
Good
I
morning.
think I have a presentation. Do you play that or do I do that? Okay. I have a few students who I know are stuck in traffic, so I hope by the time we get to their part that they'll be here. I think that's just,
That's an invitation. There's a presentation.
yeah. I think there's a PowerPoint too.
Yeah, I've got it online.
It's just a link, I think, because I did.
There it is.
There we go. Thank you. Most of you already know me. I'm Valerie Nasser. I'm the military liaison counselor for the district, and I'm here during the month of April with my annual update on the military liaison program. And more specifically, this year, I'm going to share about the North Carolina Purple Star Award Program. Next slide. So today is really a celebration because this year Craven County Schools was one of only 10 districts in the state to earn the District Superintendent's Award from NCDPI. So next slide. What does earning this award mean? And how did we get there? Earning the District North Carolina Purple Star Award means that 100% of our schools earned individual awards by meeting the program requirements. Next slide. These program requirements support over 3,000 military-connected students who attend Craven County schools, which is about 25% of our district membership, so significant population. Next slide. In order to earn the award, schools must name a point of contact for military-related issues, have military-specific web pages, annual professional development for all staff, knowledge of the MIC3, a student transition program, and some optional activities. The application period, and again, it is annual, is from September 1st to February 1st each year. The program components selected by DPR are those that, based on research, provide optimal support for our military-connected students as they experience multiple transitions, moving 6 to 9 times over their K-12 school careers, to experiencing parental absences for trainings and deployments. And I know we have dads in here that have been deployed, supporting their students. So within the current global landscape, we can certainly understand the added stressors our students experience knowing their parents are gone to a place that in their view could be dangerous. As our service members protect our country, it's our duty to support their families and children's personal, social, and academic success. When our service members know their families are safe and taken care of at home, they're able to be focused and mission ready. Thanks. So let's take a look at the program components in a bit more depth. So having a web presence is key when service members get orders for Cherry Point, as the web-based materials are really provide information, and it's often their first look at where they're going. Craven County has an excellent system where military-related information is on the district page and then linked to every page. And you can see circled is the military families button that links to a page that I put content in, but then each school can add like a welcome video or other school-specific content. Thanks. All school point of contacts are trained in understanding components and the spirit of the MIC3 or the Interstate Compact on Educational Opportunity for Military Children. This compact is law adopted by all 50 states. North Carolina was the 11th state to participate. An example of a case where the compact applies would be accepting the coursework for credit in a high school setting. And so this MIC3 levels the playing field for our military connected students. And I'm going to give an example. It's a fake example. It's not true, but it really kind of shows you how it works. So if I was based in Texas, let's say, and I moved here to North Carolina, and I had a high school junior that took Texas history, and they came to North Carolina, and in North Carolina history was a graduation requirement. Well, the compact allows that student, or allows us, to substitute that Texas history for North Carolina history and assure on-time graduation, and that this student continue to take a rigorous course load. So another required component is that all staff participates in professional development related to issues faced by military connected students. This year, we trained over 1,500 staff members with 3 different opportunities, depending on how many years they had earned the Purple Star Award. And now that all schools have earned the award, there will be 1 common training per year with a military family lifestyle option for new teachers. All schools have some type of peer-led student support program. Many of our schools have been trained in the National Student-to-Student Program, which is used widely around the world, allowing our military-connected students to find a group that they can easily identify with as they move. Craven County Schools is also fortunate to have 3 Anchored for Life programs through a grant from the Marine Corps. Today, I have several students with me, and I know some are here, so we may go a bit out of order, who will share their experiences with the Student Transition Program at their school. And next slide, please. And so I think we're going to start with, are you ready? She made it to Washington, just a perfect timing. This is Maria Folk from Havelock High School, and she is going to tell you about the student-to-student program there.
Hi, guys. A little bit late. There was some traffic that was going on. S2S is a leadership program that teaches kids to be great leaders through showing their new students around the school and through service projects in their community and in their school, and practicing 100% acceptance. Within the S2S club at my school, we have roughly around 80 students that participate in our activities and service projects. An example of a service project is a student-led tutoring program. We also just volunteered our time at the Month of the Military Child Color Run. S2S is made up of so many different students of so many different mindsets. I absolutely love walking into all of our meetings and seeing all of these different people from all of these different places that wouldn't usually be together, athletes, musicians, artists, and they all come together with a common interest, and it's to give everybody a very common ground to socialize in and be a part of. I'm supposed to have one of our welcome bags with me. However, with the rush of everything trying to get here on time, it has been left in my car. But all the students, when being given a tour, when they first arrive at our school, they are given a welcome bag that includes a t-shirt of Havelock High School, a cup, a pen, a notebook, a planner, and all that fun school spirit stuff that they need to get started. S2S gives students a place to always feel welcome when they come to a new school, and even when they're leaving, they always know that when they're leaving from one school to another, there's always going to be a peer group that they can be welcomed in and a part of.
Okay, and now from Tucker Creek Middle School, we have Aaron Parker and Addison York, and they're going to tell you about Anchored for Life.
Hello, my name's Erin, and me and my friend here, Addison, we're going to do like a presentation of Anchorage for Life and, say stuff like why it's important. And we're going to do like a little skit. So we're going to walk you through like what's in this bag, what every new student gets usually. So the first thing we're going to do this thing they might see is this a scavenger hunt where they can explore their new area, and they could do it literally anywhere. They could do it at a park, at their house, with some friends and family members. This is a little journal of 20 days of caring. Even though they're new students, they could find a way to make new friends, and where they can find some ways to, talk to each other and stuff like that. This is a journal where they can write their feelings and their emotions if they can't express it verbally. And yeah. This is a family guidebook where they could go through with their family members and, find out more about Anchored for Life in middle school. This is my Connect cards, where if you like have a connection with a friend or a new person, you could write stuff in here where you have a connection with them. This is a luck rock for you to bring around in your book bag or your pocket, anywhere. And usually some of these have some nice confident words on them. And this one says peace. So these are a gift from Anchored for Life to welcome new students, and and the last thing is this Anchored for Life stress ball. So, if they get anxious or if they don't feel confident in themselves, they can, squish in, all their relief comes out. This is important because it helps new students feel more comfortable. It's welcoming, it's helpful, it's heartwarming, and it makes them more happy. It makes them feel more appreciated, and it makes them feel more confident. We can always help them, and they can always ask questions if they need. And I am a military child, so I've been through many schools. I haven't got to do one of these things, but there is some children that help me and stuff like that. And S to us, which it means student to student, and Anchored for Life is like a culture of kindness and welcoming to a lot of new students.
Made it. So this is Emily and Noah.
Oh,
Emily and Noah.
Hello, I'm Noah. I'm from WJC Gurganis and I've only been here for 1 year.
Hi, I'm Emily. I go to WJG and I've been there for 6 years. A couple of things that we've been doing in student to student is like, well, one activity we did was backpack lessons, and we went to Garber Church United and we filled up food bags for people who really needed it, and it was a pretty good experience for me because it helped me see that I can help people who really need it.
Another student-to-student project we did was our welcome bags that we made for new students that just came to our school. We made them to welcome the new students. We also did a Month of the Military Child rock to spread around our community and for most people to find it. We also brought some for you. Student to student makes me feel like I am a part of the school and I'm a part of the community.
You are awesome. I just want to show their welcome bag. And I'm so glad you made it. I was in the traffic too. So we have a variety of these. Obviously, Anchored for Life provides a nice welcome bag and also deployment kits for our students and other types of kits as well. And Dr. Rankin has given us string bags in the past to give to all new students, not just military students. Some homemade bags, and like Mrs. Freeble has funded her bags for her school. So it's kind of a work in progress and everybody does something. The next slide, I do have one more student. So as part of the Military Child Education Coalition Student to Student program, there is a leadership program that our students can apply for. It's called the Frances Hesselbein Student Leadership Program. It's run twice a year. The fall program is actually at West Point. This year it was from October 18th to the 22nd. And one of our early college East students, Kara Daniels, was selected to participate. And so she's here to tell you about her experience. And also there's an article in this On the Move magazine that I've left for you about her experience as well. So Kara.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I went to West Point, New York, and I thought that it was going to be a week of just fun and learning about leadership, but little did I know it was going to be making connections with other people across the country. The farthest person that we had was from Washington State, and she was amazing. All of the people that I met were amazing. I learned not only how to take my natural leadership skills and grow them and create them into something that I can use in my school, out of my school, and in every aspect of my life, but I also learned how to be a good follower, which is very important to be a leader. And so with that, when I learned how to be a follower and not just a leader, I also learned that it's okay to let people take control. Especially when you don't know what to do. So we went to West Point Army Academy and we got a tour of West Point Army Academy. We did classes, leadership classes. That was a lot of fun. I learned so much from all of the students there. We did simulations of like games and just a whole bunch of stuff. But then we also had the fun side where we went and we did bowling and we did rock climbing and
we did a whole bunch of fun stuff, and it was just a big support system. And now I can use that within my school and my S2S program. Because I am president of S2S, there's a lot riding on me. So now I can use it for good in my S2S. Thank you.
So I just want to say that these students-led peer support programs serve all students, and they came to us largely because of our military population, but they're here to serve all students. So just a quick recap, the Purple Star requirements include both the staff training we discussed and then those peer-led student support programs you just heard about from our students. So the last major requirement for the Purple Star Award application is an optional activity. And that can either be a recognition like Month of the Military Family, Veterans Day, Month of the Military Child, like we are experiencing now in April, or like an Adopt a School program where many of our schools partner with a unit from the base for support. And so they can do any one of those. The Military Liaison Program offers a district, go back a few, yeah. The Military Liaison Program offers a district supported activity for each of these required areas. So maybe two more back. Right, keep going, another one, one more. One more. There we go. The Military Liaison Program offers a district-supported activity for each of those required components, the optional ones. And this assists some of our schools that have limited time or resources to help complete the program component so that we can then earn that district award. This year's service project was Socktober. We collected 8,000, well over 8,000 pairs of socks. I think Gerganus collected over 3,000 pairs of those socks. So we saturated New Bern. New Bern was like, we have no more room for socks. So with the help of Catholic Charities, the rest of the socks were distributed around the state. And then always district-wide activities for Month of the Military Child. And yes, you can switch one now. This year's theme, Military Children Color Our Community, was coordinated with activities on the base. So next slide. So the theme was Military Kids Color Our Community. We had Purple Up Day last Friday, April 8th, in all of our schools and all around the state, actually. Next slide. And then these are the coordinating activities on Cherry Point. And I think it really helps us build community when we're all sharing that same theme and that same camaraderie. So next slide. In Craven County, our district-wide activities include a Chalk the Walk classroom competition that's going on throughout the month. For some pizza parties, and there was a competition to color the spirit rocks outside the schools in the theme Military Children Color Our Community. It was a tight competition, and the winners will be announced tomorrow. And then, as you can see, we're continuing to build community awareness with those signs in the middle. You all have a little card with April as the Month of the Military Child. We've distributed these as posters and yard signs around downtown, the community, Havelock. Lots of participation in Havelock businesses this year, purpling up every Friday with the help of the Havelock Chamber. So it's been a great year. And some of this, and we'll talk about this on the next slide. Oh, no, maybe not. One other thing we did that I really want to talk about before I close is to highlight an awesome optional activity that Havelock High School participated in this year. The school received an 8,500 Arts and Education grant from the North Carolina Arts Council for an artist in residence. The artist worked with the Havelock High School art teacher, Teresa Holtz, to produce a mural themed Military Kids Color Our Community. And it was a mural of portraits. And the project included all students in 3 art classes. And so it was a mixture of civilian and peer and students and their military students. And it kind of demonstrated our interconnectedness as a community. And if you will go see the work, if you flip to the next slide, this is just a sampling. It's so awesome. But if you notice, they're all interconnected, like their fingers, those are 4 separate portraits that they had to make connect. And so it kind of shows the way they're connected. And students learned about the components of portrait work in a digital art program called Procreate to do this. And they also were asked to consider how their own life experiences shaped their perspective and then how that translated into their own artwork. The final work is at the Craven Arts Council and Gallery for this month, and then we'll travel. The exhibit opened last Friday in conjunction with Purple Up Day. And today, I know we have Lee Hood. Lee was the artist in residence. And Kathleen Collier from the North Carolina Arts Council. I don't know. I've never met Kathleen. I've been looking for her. And so Kathleen is here from the North Carolina Arts Council as well. And we're going to go see the exhibit after. And I really encourage you to see it. You'll be impressed. It's about 10 foot by 6 foot wide.
It's 66 inches by 100 feet.
Yeah, it's huge. It's amazing, really. So in wrapping up, I want to recognize the support on the next slide that Partners in Education, that the program receives from Partner in Education. Without these funds, none of these activities would be possible, and they pretty much provide support annually through a grant. The Cherry Point Officer or Spouses Club also has supported us in the past. Of course, the North Carolina Arts Council. This is the second grant we've received, and any district level DODEA grant support my program as well. So in the words of Jill Biden, military families serve and sacrifice alongside their service members, but military children don't get a choice when it comes to moving or leaving their friends behind or spending holidays without their military parent. Lots of goodbyes, lots of hellos. Thank you very much. Is there any questions?
We don't have any question, but we certainly enjoyed the presentation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Outstanding, and we just appreciate all that you all are doing. It is wonderful.
Thank you. And for our board members, I've left, this is the data from Blue Star Family Surveys. A lot of this is what drives my program and where we focus our attention, and just some other little cards. And of course, the article with Kara's experience.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You'll also notice in that agenda item an invitation. The award ceremony will be virtual on May 11th from 1 to 2:30, and I will be sharing that link as it's released so everyone can enjoy the presentation of the awards. The next community partner is critical in the work we do and to support our families is the YMCA. We have Marissa Zini and crew. She's going to introduce the folks with her, but to tell you about all the things they provide. And to be honest, when we met a few weeks ago, they've done things that I didn't even realize. Like when we have a bad weather day, they open up for families that maybe didn't have plans for their students so they don't have to miss work. So a great partner, and they provide lots of learning, but also collaboration with us as a school district and with the community. So now I will let Marissa come forward and share with you.
I'm gonna stand off to the side here if y'all don't mind. Big podium. I'm gonna stand over here. There you go. So for generations, the Y has committed to our students, to families, and our families are ever changing. Everything is ever changing, as we've seen over the past couple years. And we are here to support that. I'm gonna let him pull up the slide before I continue. If it wasn't for our partnership with the schools, I don't think we would be able to effectively give to our students the way we are. Our building, the Twin Rivers Y, is quite small. And it would not hold all the students we serve currently in after school. You can go to the next slide. Our after school program runs in the schools. So it's one of the benefits for our parents too. They leave work and they come close to home to pick up their students. We're currently in 7 schools and servicing 135 students. Prior to COVID, go back, please. Prior to COVID, we were in 13 elementary schools and servicing at least double that number. And so we're slowly making that trend back to getting there. And we are currently open for registration in those 13 elementary schools for next school year. This is Cynthia Genovese. She is our Associate Family Services Director. She is in our schools almost every day. She's currently at Urbanus, serving as the site director. And I'm just going to let her give you a little rundown of what our afternoons look like when the students come to us at 3 o'clock.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for letting us give the kids a safe place to go to when their parents are working. What we do in our after-school program is that we will serve them on snacks, and then after that, they have an hour of homework, and it's not a one-on-one tutoring, but we're there for them to help them whatever they needed. We do a lot of structured activities. We do STEM, arts and crafts, Kids Lit, which you're probably gonna ask, what is Kids Lit? It's like a reading to them, a book, and then we engage them. We want to help them with their reading comprehension. We do a lot of things for them to make them active and not just sitting down. So that's what we do for our after-school program.
So currently, teacher work days and some holidays, we offer full day care. So from 7:30 to 6 on that day, we offer care to our after-school students free of charge, but we also offer care to any student in the county who needs care that day. Even if a grandchild is visiting, we'll offer care that day at a minimal cost. And we also offer financial assistance for those families who can't afford, that cost. So for those days, we do a full day of activities. We go on field trips. Spring break camp next week, we actually are planning to go to the strawberry farm, and they're doing the rock digging and the bounce pad. And we're really looking forward to that. And then inclement weather days. I know that there are parts of the county that the buses just can't get to on some of those days. And so the entire county has to shut down. And I understand, I'm a parent, I get it, I understand. I wouldn't want my child on a bus and when it wasn't safe for them to go. So we do offer care on those days that our staff can safely get to the building. And we have students can be dropped off from 7:30 to 6 so that parents who can get to work can drop their child off and they're in a safe, fun environment with us at the Y. There was a closure at Ben Quinn back in the fall because they had no heat in the building. And we were offered, that picture is actually from that day. We were able to offer care to 20 students whose parents needed to go to work who didn't have any other option. So they were able to come and have a super fun day. And then also with some of the inclement weather days, they're virtual and some of the students have work or need to get on Zoom calls, and we facilitate all of that with the help of the parents letting us know when they need to be on calls, helping them with schoolwork and things like that. We have winter break and spring break camps. So the days the kids are out of school, we offer the full week of care for those. You can go to the next. And then upcoming, we have summer camp. You go to the next slide. We have summer camp, and summer camp after school, all of these things wouldn't be possible if we weren't able to use the school buildings. So for summer, we have several sites. The kids will come to the Y in the morning, and then we will bus them off to some of the schools. And then we also partner with school nutrition, and they have been able in the past summers to provide hot lunches for all of our campers. And this summer, we will be doing breakfast and lunch with them. And then the Y will be providing both snacks. So these students and these campers won't have to pack food, as some of them don't have a lot of nutritious things to bring to school or to camp. And we offer camp kindergarten through middle school. And then I'm going to introduce, this is David Hagee, our CEO. And he's going to tell you about a new program that we are bringing to the town, to Craven County, as well as Onslow County. And this program is really about a partnership. We are trying to fill the gaps. We know that there are other programs that help assist with backpacks and things like that, but we are trying to fill those extra gaps of those students that the other programs may not reach. And so he's going to tell you about that.
Thank you, Marissa. And first and foremost, thank you all for your continued support of our YMCA. My name is David Heggie. I'm the CEO and president of the Eastern Carolina YMCAs, the home of the Twin Rivers YMCA here in New Bern and the New River YMCA in Jacksonville. So I'm excited for the opportunity to lead our organization. I am quickly approaching my first year of service here in our communities here, but I have 20 years of experience of leading through the YMCA of Greensboro. And so I'm excited about Bright Beginnings. This is a program that many Ys across the state have been doing for years. And one of the things that I know and we learned through COVID is, like many nonprofits, we were hit hard financially and we'll take years to recover. But one thing that we know is when we're having hard times, there's still the opportunity to serve. And our YMCA has been able to serve outside of our four walls and start really flexing some of those muscles that don't require a building. And so we are much more than a swim and gym. And this is an opportunity that we can really flex those muscles and really be a part of our community. We know that it takes a village to raise our children. And so we want to make sure that we're able to really provide wraparound services where those gaps are present and really help serve and support. And so Bright Beginnings is one of those things that's near and dear to me. I'm a former teacher, so I know how hard it is. I know how much money teachers spend to make sure that children have the right school supplies. I also know what it seems like to have a child come in to school on the first day of school and be picked on and bullied because they don't have new clothes or new shoes. And so what is Bright Beginnings? Bright Beginnings is a program where the Y will partner with our community, and we will provide up to $125 to $175 of new school clothes and age appropriate and grade appropriate school supplies. And so I'm excited to announce that this summer we will start as a pilot here in Craven County, and we'll serve at least 50 families in our county right now. I have funding for 50, but I'll keep digging. That's one thing that I'm passionate about. And the way that it works is that the YMCA will work in our communities with our schools to identify children in need. They will refer those children, those families to our Y. We'll go through the appropriate channels to make sure that we get their sizes and understand the needs that they have. And if it's a uniform or clothes that they need, we also make sure that the necessities are provided. So whether there are socks, underwear, school shoes, those things will be on the list. It gives a child then an opportunity to partner with a volunteer. So we have volunteers that will come to our Y. They will meet our children and families at the door. We'll have a dinner. And like all YMCAs, it's not an experience. Let's hop on a YMCA school bus and we'll travel to a Walmart or Target. We're allowed to shop and give those children the opportunity to shop for those new school clothes. And so this is just one of the things we'll be doing and operating outside of our four walls. But you'll be hearing more from this. But I just really appreciate the opportunity that you've given us to continue to serve outside of our four walls. And we look forward to supporting Craven County schools in any way that we can either be a convener, amplify your message or support. So thank you for all that you do and thank you for your time.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg of support we have in the community. So what a great way to start a board meeting with all the wonderful things happening in the school system and all the community support we have to get better, which is what we strive to do each and every day. So thank you for listening and thank you for all the folks that presented today.
They left before we got a chance to say something, but they were thanking us and we really should be thanking them.
Yes.
For the service that they are providing for us, because this is a great service. And so I'm sorry they left before we got a chance to say that, but we should thank them for what they're doing.
And the fun doesn't stop there. Again, last week, all the wonderful things, but Ms. Wayans coming to you today to share some other news, but I'll let her talk about last week as she starts and then we'll move along. Thank you.
Good morning, board members. Good morning, everyone. School nutrition has recommended that the board receive an update, farm to school update, but also the USDA waivers that have been expired for school year 22-23. First slide. Farm to School Week was a lot of fun, and I want to present some of the winners of the competitions that we held at Greganas all week long. So next slide, the first competition we held was the Farm to School Cheer in competition. And I know these are fun for students, but also it's to engage students and to get them thinking, what does Farm to School mean to you? And as we saw, we had three. We first invited all the middle schools to participate, and we had 2 middle schools accepted the challenge. And then we extended to the high schools, and we had 1 high school accepted. So we had 3 teams that participated, and they engaged the 2nd through 5th graders at Greganas. And the students, next slide, the winning school was the H.J. McDonald. I can't go without saying the H.J. And they received a check in the amount of $200 sponsored by the Sweet Potato Association of North Carolina. The next competition we held was next slide, was the door art competition at Greganas. So the students all week long, they with their teachers, they worked on what farming means to them. And the hidden item was supposed to be a turkey, because Butterball was sponsoring this event. I don't know, I felt bad for the judges, as a matter of fact, and we did have the senior marketing director from Butterball as one of the judges, and she was very impressed with all the doors. And so we had 2 winners, 2 classrooms won. We had a 1st grade class, and then we had a 5th grade class that won this competition. And we just had the $200 sponsorship from Butterball. So Ms. Hurst decided that she would chip in, and she sponsored one of the classrooms. So we had those 2 classrooms that won in that competition. And on Thursday, my absolute favorite was the culinary competition. Last year, we had 7 teams participated in the culinary competition. This year, we had 17 teams with 23 entries in the culinary competition. Those judges were just about needed a bucket near them from testing so many different food options, but they were all good. When you think it couldn't get better, it got more and more. So we had four categories the students were judged in. The first category was best use of sweet potatoes, sponsored by the Sweet Potato Association, best use of dairy, sponsored by the Dairy Alliance, and then Dairy Alliance also sponsored a side dish, and then the main entree category. And then we had the Egg Association. They said, well, we'll donate $250 for the best use of egg. And this category was not announced at the time. So we have a few of those winners here with us today, and they've brought a couple of their dishes for you to sample. And I will tell you, Mr. Lee left the competition before the results came in, and he's texting me, so who won? Because, he said, oh, I really enjoyed the cheesecake. That cheesecake was to die for, sweet potato cheesecake was to die for, and they won in the dairy section. And the next winner, and we will have them come in a minute. I think they're plating, they won't have luck, and they arrived just on time. Next slide. The next winners were the best use of egg, the most excellent dish, we called it. And I know we can't identify these students, but these are I call them his special students. They are his special students, and they wanted to participate so bad. They weren't judged, but they won. And you should see the look on their faces. You should see how excited they were. And they're from Havelock High School. The next category was the next slide. The best use of sweet potatoes. And this was a dish from the New Bern High students. They came up with sweet potato risotto with a bacon top. And oh my goodness. So we had all throughout, we had groups of 20 students at Greganas testing as audience. So they will spend half an hour, because you can have 20 kids test 23 items. So Ms. Hurst, she had 20 kids sampled maybe 5 to 10 items, and then had a different group came in. We had the first graders at that point testing the risotto, and they were precious. They were giggling and laughing and saying, this is so good. I mean, to see the kids' faces just in awe and just so excited to sample their peers' food, it was, to me, such a good experience. Next slide, please. Then we had the best overall side dish, which was won by West Craven High School for tomato, cucumber, corn salad, and that was very delicious. And the last slide, next slide, before then we had the best overall, which was Havelock High School with shrimp and grits. And they also won a signed helmet from the Panthers and also $3,000 worth of equipment from the Carolina Panthers as well. Don't show that next slide because this is a surprise, and I'm gonna go ahead and call the kids out. So go back a slide. Thank you.
Bad soup. That's means good.
So the next group, the group that's going to be coming, they had 3 entries. One was chicken adobo, and then they had sweet potato chorizo tacos, and they didn't win. And I would tell you this, I watched those kids, Jaden, and Austin. And when I was making the announcement, I can see them like this, with their eyes closed. And that image stayed with me all night long, and I couldn't sleep. And I kept talking about it. I think my husband wanted to zip my lips. I got up the next morning, I came to work, and I kept talking over and over about it. And I said, I will not sleep until I can make these kids' days. So could you guys come forward? Jaden, remember I looked at you in your eyes and I'm about to cry. And I said, please don't stop cooking. And you didn't win that day, but today you've won the most memorable dish. Next slide. You are so welcome. So they've gotten $250 for the most memorable, because I couldn't sleep. And it was delicious, and they bought their 2 dishes to share with you. So go ahead and share with the board before I go on to the waivers. We got to feed them before we do this. Oh yeah, you missed the surprise. They won. They are winners in my eyes. So I think you bought the dishes to share. We bought 2 of those dishes to share. These guys did an excellent job on those 2 dishes. And I think, Mr. Liu, you and I both agree that the chicken adobo, the chicken and rice, was probably my favorite of the day. So go ahead and bring those out to share with the board. And I'll have you test before we go into the waivers. Some not so nice information. Next slide. As we wait for the dishes to be passed out, I want you to think as if you were a school nutrition employee. This is our mission, and we came up with this logo, and the logo is taken from the Craven County, part of the Craven County logo. The student is in the middle, and it's the apple and the student is in the center and the core. And our mission is the Craven County School Nutrition Department will work to nourish the minds of all students in our community to achieve greater learning by providing many options that are healthy, appealing, and safe. So this is the mission of the School Nutrition Department. So with that in mind, this is how I perform work. This is what drives me, the student being our core, our center, and our success. When they succeed, then we feel a sense of, then we have succeeded. If they're not successful, I don't feel successful. So everything we do, we focus on the student. Next slide, please. So how students qualify to eat pre-pandemic? So students qualify to eat pre-pandemic. First, they filled out. There are no seafood and no nuts. They filled out a meal application form to determine their eligibility. And 11 schools were eaten under CEP, and what that means, it stands for Community Eligibility Provision, and that is a 4-year cycle. We are in cycle 3 of CEP. Also, what we started a couple years ago was universal free breakfast for those schools that were participating in breakfast in the classroom. Students also ate, they were students not qualified to eat at no cost. They paid for their meals. So all this was prior to the pandemic. So next slide, please. Then this is what happened when March of 2020, we are under a national USDA waiver that's in place, and this allows flexibilities in the meal pattern. So it means that when we are not able to get certain items that USDA requires us to serve the students, that we have that flexibility to not serve that particular item. It also allows for non-congregate feeding. That means that the student doesn't have to be at school. If the student be at school closures, we can still feed the students. And again, you see that in it allows us to serve students during unanticipated school closures. And finally, it allowed all students to eat at no cost. So we know all good things come to an end. Next slide, please. I'm about to share with you a clip. And the reason why I share this clip, it's because misery loves company. This clip made me miserable, and I want you to feel the misery that I felt when I saw this clip. So could you play that clip, please? This is right here in North Carolina, and what you would see is our section chief, DPI section chief, Dr. Harvey, is meeting with a group of lawmakers. And go ahead. You had the right clip, just the volume. You had the right clip, it's just the volume. And I want you to pay attention to the way you feel. This is a feeling clip. Tell me what you feel when you listen to this, because I know I had a lot of feelings that went through me when I heard this.
Support extending it.
We need, and our students deserve, hunger-free schools.
Millions of dollars from pandemic relief have been spent to make school nutrition programs accessible to all North Carolina students.
Today, state lawmakers questioned whether that's really the case. Advocates say the funding has helped reduce child hunger, which has been a problem in this state for a long time.
Our Capitol Bureau Chief Laura Leslie explains why lawmakers are questioning the program.
State lawmakers didn't seem willing to accept the idea that many children in North Carolina are hungry or food insecure, and they argued it's not the job of schools to solve that problem.
To qualify for free school meals, students' families can't make more than 130% of the poverty level. For a reduced price lunch, that's 185%. These students make up 60% of all students in North Carolina schools. That's 3 out of 5 kids. We rank 8th in the nation for child hunger. During the pandemic, schools have gotten extra.
Tens of millions of dollars from pandemic relief have been spent to make school nutrition programs accessible to all North Carolina students.
Today, state lawmakers questioned whether that's really the case. Advocates say the funding has helped reduce child hunger, which has been a problem in this state for a long time.
Our Capitol Bureau Chief Laura Leslie explains why lawmakers are questioning the program.
State lawmakers didn't seem willing to accept the idea that many children in North Carolina are hungry or food insecure, and they argued it's not the job of schools to solve that problem.
To qualify for free school meals, students' families can't make more than 130% of the poverty level. For a reduced price lunch, that's 185%. These students make up 60% of all students in North Carolina schools. That's 3 out of 5 kids. We rank 8th in the nation for child hunger. During the pandemic, schools have gotten extra federal funding to supply free meals to all students, regardless of income. State School Nutrition Chief Dr. Lynn Harvey says it has helped to reduce child hunger, but the program will end in June. She urged state lawmakers to support extending it.
We need, and our students deserve, hunger-free schools. where all children have access to nutritious, appealing meals as part of the instructional day.
I think the job of this General Assembly is to force you to go back to the basics we had before and put your personal agenda aside.
Representative Mark Brody accused Harvey of promoting government-sponsored meals. He said income is not a good way to measure hunger.
I go visit my food banks in there, and there's lots of food going on. Nobody's being denied anything, and the idea that kids don't have access to good food, parents just need to buy it and feed it. My mother did that to me.
Other lawmakers said giving students free food sends the wrong message about self-sufficiency.
I just think we're leading toward a socialization here that take the responsibility away from the families.
Don't parents really have the responsibility at any income level for ensuring that their children have food? Or are we, as a government, are we just sending a message that says that they're incapable of doing that and that we will just do it for them?
The committee adjourned without making a decision. Laura Leslie, WRAL News, Raleigh.
According to data from the state, nearly 30% of children in North Carolina live in economically distressed households and are subject to hunger or food insecurity. That's well above the national average.
Right. So with that clip in mind, know that the waivers have not been extended for school year 22-23. So wrong one, they won. Wrong two, absolutely not. So there are things that we can do. Next slide, please. So currently, because the USDA waivers have not been extended, there are a few things that we can do. Now, I know that I'm probably preaching to the choir. I know that we in the room have kids, grandkids, friends in schools, or we know someone who may be in a situation where they are unable to afford food for their kids. There are a couple of things that I would just like to mention in terms of, for the equity and for things like that. When last have we asked a family to fill out an application to see if their child should ride the bus to school? Or do we ever ask students, does your mother have a car, your father have a car? What kind of car do they drive? Number two, devices. When kids come to school, the expectation is that we provide them with the devices, we provide them with their books, we provide them with the things that they need to learn. So in my mind, how can we deny students of the basic need of hunger, of something to eat? When last have we been invited to be somewhere for a duration of 8 hours and it's a closed campus and we did not feed, we were not fed? That would be almost ludicrous to expect us to be there for that duration of time and says, you know what, I'm only given today Miss Kim Rice Smith lunch. The rest of you fend for yourself. I hope you have a cooler and I hope you just bring that cooler with you, packed with all the nutritious things that you need for the day. So in my mind, I feel like some folks need to be educated on what it feels like to be in a school system where they have to turn kids away that are hungry. And I can go, I don't think you want to hear me on my soapbox because I can go on for hours, but I can go on for hours. So there are some things that we can do. So the USDA waivers, the implications of not having those waivers extended are these. A meal application needs to be completed within 30 days. Remember, families have not filled out applications in 2 years. So now we need them to fill it out in 30 days before the start of school or at the start of school. The issue with supply chain shortages, with all those waivers, we are going to be scrambling. So let's say for some reason we couldn't get whole grains. No longer can we serve them whatever is sent on our truck. We're going to have to find the whole grains to supply these students because that waiver has not been extended. So for some reason, they think that we are back to normal, full normal, when we know that we are having issues with even receiving the food that we have asked for. Students without an application on file, even if they were qualified for free meals in the past, will not be able to eat for free until they have an application on file. And then students will need to have money on their lunch account. So that's the implications of the waivers not being extended. Next slide, please. So we need to explore some options, and these are a few options I came up with. Just to last week, I guess probably later the week before, there is a bill that has been passed that it says take action by visiting schoolnutrition.org and searching support Senate waiver bill. So there is a bill in the Senate currently, and it's been introduced to the Senate. So if you go on, you can vote for that bill to be passed, and that bill is to extend the waivers. That's option number one. If we all log on and we all bombard Congress and said, okay, we need to pass these bills to extend those waivers. That's option number one. Option number two is, next slide, is we can meet and discuss with our local state legislators to possibly have a bill passed in North Carolina. I want you to know that Maine and California have already done this for their states. So that's one of my purpose in inviting some of our local lawmakers to Farm to School Week and to get their bug in their ear planted that this is the way we feel, this is what we're serving kids, and this is how we feel. And we did have two of our local lawmakers, the both that we invited, they both attended Farm to School Week. So we can meet with them, we can discuss with them the challenges that we would have in feeding kids next school year and get in their mind and hopefully get a bill in North Carolina passed where we can serve students at no cost. Next slide, please. Or option number three is on a local level. This is a difficult one because we need to explore the possibility, what if all else fails? What are we going to do here on a local level? So we currently have a board policy in place. It's policy 6220, and section B, and there is a no charge policy for high schools. There is a one breakfast, one lunch charge policy for middle schools, and there's 3 breakfasts and 3 lunch charge policy for elementary schools. After that, my cafeteria cashiers have the difficult task of turning kids away or offering them a milk based on the policy, a fruit, a milk, and a roll. Think of how awful that would be. Think if this is your child. It's still food, and it's still substantial food. It's a milk, it's a fruit, and it's a roll. So it is 3 meal components, and USDA say that's reimbursable. So it is a reimbursable meal, but is that what we really want to provide our students with? And I have been at schools where my employees have had to literally tell a child, and this was the start of this school year, and I was visiting the school, the second day of school, and the child came back, the child ate all his lunch, and he was hungry and he wanted more food. And she looked at me and she says, what do I do? And I looked at him and I said, are you hungry? And he says, I'm hungry. The last thing I ate was yesterday here at school. So I said, you go back and you pick whatever you want on that line. We cannot run business like that. If we did that all the time, then Dr. Miller would send me home, send me packing because we would go bankrupt, right? So we can't do business like that. So, and my staff cannot do that. They cannot do that. So then what do you propose that my staff do when kids are walking through the lines hungry, no money on their account? We have, Ms. Freeble, I'm going to call you out. I know at the beginning of the 2 years ago, you put $600 from your money on an account so that students could eat. We cannot do that. I don't get paid enough to do that for every child, to put money on an account for every child to eat with us. So then whose responsibility is it? Can we go back to that slide when I talk about the students being our center, our core, our success? Well, if our students are hungry, then we are unsuccessful, because hungry students, we know all too well, will not learn. They couldn't care what you're saying. Because think about it, when you guys are hungry, right? When it's time for lunch, do you want to hear the next presenter? No, you're thinking about your belly. Well, think about those kids. Or simply think about this. I was a child that was disadvantaged. I grew up in Trinidad, and I'll tell you this, and this is true. My mom did the best she could. She packed me with lunch every day, but it wasn't something that I wanted to take out to show my other friends. I was embarrassed. So when my teacher said, do you have a lunch? I said, actually, I'm full, because I didn't want to bring out my lunch. We have kids that are like that, right? They shouldn't have to think about being embarrassed to eat in the cafeteria. So when we send the quote unquote poor kids to the cafeteria because they were qualified for free meals, then that's saying that the poor kids get to eat. Then I don't want to go and eat because I'm poor. I've been identified as being poor, unable to afford. So we've got to start thinking differently. The problem with option 3, which is on a local level, is that the sustainability piece of it. How do we sustain that? Even if we got money and can do it next year, how do we sustain that? But the problem is real. And from that clip we just saw, we know that There are folks who don't understand, and we need them to be in our schools to help to let them turn a child away. Until they're able to turn a child away and tell them you don't have money on your account, then they can make decisions like the ones that they're trying to make for our students. So that's my soapbox, and I know my time is just about up. So if you have any questions or suggestions or thoughts on what I have presented about the waivers, I am willing to hear and do everything that I can, because again, the students are our core, our center, and our success. We've got to feed them.
Just, thank you. You're right. You're preaching to the choir, and it didn't just start with your coming to Craven County. Kids have been hungry, and I watched the cafeteria staff even 7 years ago. And what folk also don't understand is we talk about stigma. We got military kids whose families sometimes don't have enough, and they shouldn't be blamed. So we as the board, with your assistance and Dr. Miller's guidance, should do something. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms.
No,
Clark.
no, thank you.
Ms. Muse?
Ms. Clark's right. I mean, even when I was volunteering, when my son was in elementary school, and he's 23. So even then, when I was in school one day, there was a little boy, and he was like, because at Christmas time we offered the food pantry at school, and he was like, I have to get food for my family. Probably in second grade, right? Whatever, first, second grade. When you talk about our charge accounts, it would have been helpful, because I know you have a dollar amount at the end of each school year of how much has not been paid, right?
We do.
If we could see that, that would be helpful, because then it kind of gives us a gauge as to how much we need.
That's a great, and I do have that information for you. I didn't have it in the presentation. So with the charge account, you see about no more than $2,000, $3,000 at the end of the school year with that limited charge account. What you don't see is the number of students that got turned away. So with an unlimited charge account, for example, in Pitt, they would have $40,000 at the end of the school year in charges because they don't have a charge limit. So that's the difference. You've seen a difference, and that's just one county, Pitt. But then we're also in Pitt, they're also doing their due diligence by sending out reminders to families. So every week, those students that have a balance on their account, meaning they don't have money on their account or have an excess, an overage charge, they send those mails out to the families and says, could you please provide us with the money owing from the student? And you will have families that will, at the end of the school year, go ahead and send that money in, and then you would have families that would choose not to. But you're looking at probably around 30 to 40, maybe even 50. We have some districts that said, hey, we have reported hundreds of thousands of dollars at the end of the school year not being paid by families with no charge limits. So that's a reason why charge limits are in place, is to sort of kind of taper down on some of that excessive charges. But it's also difficult for employees to make the decision as to who to turn away and who not to.
Well, ideally, we wouldn't have to turn
anyone away, right? Exactly. Yes, ma'am.
I just have one. I could go on and on about those comments, but what I want to say is I think we need to inform our parents and give them the links for the people to contact. Because when you say to some people, you need to contact your legislative body, they don't know if you're talking federal, state, and how to reach them. Because I think that a lot of people are not aware that this is gonna happen.
They're not.
And
this is new.
Yeah, I agree with you. They need to come and see a child. I mean, I've done a summer feeding program for 10 years, and the kids will line up at breakfast when we don't even open the doors until 11. They stand outside in their pajamas because they're hungry.
Yeah, thank you.
And for people to not recognize that that's a problem in North Carolina, it's a problem.
Yep.
And we're a great place to live, but we need to be a great place to live for everybody.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Dove.
When you were saying they have to decide who to turn away and who not to turn away. How do they just make that decision?
They have to turn away everyone. That's the rule.
Everybody.
Yeah. But you would have, of course, a manager might say, hey, I have $5. Let me put this $5 on this child's account. So you have all that going on all throughout the day. That I know he's really hungry, so here's $5, put it on the account and let this child eat. I mean, you have that constantly.
And what was the exact date that these waivers will expire?
The last days are June 2022. So we have a couple, so for the next school year, we'll not have those waivers.
And basically, the only thing that we as citizens can do is contact our representatives.
So the first thing we can do, because the bill was just passed in Congress on a national level, is to go ahead and to vote to extend the waivers for 22-23 school year. So that's the first thing, because that bill was not there until like 2 weeks ago. So they're taking action, and we're not sure it will pass. So we are trying to do all that we can to I don't know.
But we can do a resolution as a board and send it to that delegation.
I'd be happy to develop a letter and have the
Please.
board chair sign, and I'll sign as a superintendent. We've done that with other issues, and send it to our representatives.
And I know we use the term benchmarking a lot. Is there any way that we can contact surrounding counties and see if they would join in and do the same?
Thank you so much for
Thank you.
hearing me out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna take a 10
We're gonna
minute,
go into closed session at 10 o'clock. So
Let's take a break till then.
take a break and then go to closed session.
Come back on the closed session.
We're gonna take a break, but when we come back, we're gonna go to closed session. And
please
so,
read that comment about the reason for going into closed session.
okay, so you want to.
Okay, hold on, let me find it.
Yes.
So do you want the motion now with
I
that?
think so.
Okay, so
I'm going to entertain a motion to enter into a closed session to consider the qualification, competence, performance, or condition of appointment of a public officer or employee or prospective public office or employee, and to consult with, North Carolina General Statute. Oh, you have to say that?
No, we need to have the break
Okay, that's why I'm
and then
asking.
come back into session.
Right,
And then go into closed session. We can't have closed session during a break,
that's why I'm asking.
or at
Okay.
least I wouldn't want that.
Now we on break for 10 minutes, and then we'll come back, go into closed session.
We can do either, I guess.
Yeah, she was on the phone with me. It's fine.
I think football would be easier to go to school for, but I want to play basketball. But I'm just.
You got your highlights together? Okay. Call it. Yeah.
I know. Spicy. No, I didn't know.
Two days before, because I did do it, you know. Okay, so we can eat. Yeah, that's the type of. I'll play the first one. I like this. Okay, so my mama's remember. Okay, I'm real close to you. Really good. Oh, no. Okay, okay. We gotta get confident. Yeah, we can sing that too. We got a lot of talking to. Okay. Definitely, man. I appreciate you coming. We are gonna try to squeeze in all the schools. If we can. Right. They have a work situation. Right. And so we're gonna try to bring them all out. I got a call yesterday. There's right. And the whole thing. And all that was like.
Man, let me know next time you do it. I can have it. All right, take care, man. Nice talking with you.
Just another statement. That's what we
Also, you're. I know. I know. That's. Yes, please. Maybe. When I'm over that.
How are you?
Good, how are you? Mr. Windows?
Slant there and that's
If there's another meat, I can only identify it. It tastes like.
Thankfully, oh yeah, yeah, because all the mics are showing the music, but I guess it's coming from my laptop. So gotcha. Yeah, just any other.
Madam Chair, we're updating the verbiage that needs to be read because it's a specific issue. Okay, so it'll be in there.
Okay, so is this the dinner lunch we're having?
No, we're ordering lunch. That's what I'm trying to do.
What do we do? So much work. I guess I can mark it and put it in the fridge, right?
I'm gonna stop, so. There you go. Heather takes care of you. You want a banana or you want Scooby snacks? Ms. Clark, you want dessert?
Brown bag that there. That's helpful.
That's right. Heather kind of mixes chocolate and banana, so you can choose if you want to eat healthy. She is. We're not gonna eat much of that. I know. We're gonna try to start putting times like we did, that would be really helpful. Make it cautious, we're gonna go at 2 o'clock, I believe is the last. To make it more cautious. And then when you call somebody, when you call somebody, you say, your presentation is delayed. Oh, good.
And we cut down on comments too. The board had cut down on comments. I said too, nobody had said anything. The most we talked was about child nutrition. Which is good.
Yeah, I like that you didn't do the.
Yeah, we've got a couple of them we're looking at. And it's still a work in progress. Yeah. Only thing I say, make the board aware of, I guess, everyone listening right now, so. There's not mentioned something about the guys coming in and interviewing for the process. And if they're running one of them, I guess, a couple of them mentioned better Wi-Fi in our schools. I think we need to make sure that you guys understand that as of right now, we are broadcasting this on Zoom and YouTube wirelessly. And it's working. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, they are. They're gonna be your broadcast.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, we're gonna be broadcasting, but I mean, if we've got a guy up here that's running the board, he's gonna say they're a Wi-Fi, so it's not a problem. I Victor didn't say which one it was. But, yeah. Yeah, I think maybe I should just let it be your own team. That's what it is. And if you're going to speak on a platform that you don't know about, or if you're going to tell lies about a platform, maybe people need to know that this person is going to be willing to say stuff they didn't properly research before they run on a platform.
But that's pretty.
Yeah. Well, we don't. This might be public speaking the first time on Thursday. We'll see what these guys say, and if they say anything bad about technology. Okay, wait, right.
He was part of the group that did that. And that didn't come from us. That was
Yeah.
Okay.
I call this meeting of the Craven County Board of Education back to order, please.
Madam Chair, I understand that you would like for me to propose some language to go into closed session.
I will, thank you.
The motion would be to enter closed session to consider the qualifications, competence, performance, recognition, appointment of a public officer, employer, prospective public officer, employee with reference in CGS 143.3.11A6, and consult with an attorney to preserve the attorney-client privilege and to consider L.Y. period I and through A. period Y period and J. Y period versus Craven County Board of Education 22 EDC 00681, and to protect the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the public body, which here privilege is hereby acknowledged, and that's in CGS 143.11A3.
So moved. Second.
It has been moved and second that we go into closed session for the reason that was just read by our attorney. So at this time, we are in closed session.
Need a vote.
All those in favor, let be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, I have it. We are go into closed session.
And we're staying here in this room. Okay.